tuwing nagbe-birthday tayo, at least ako, yung thoughts ko, naisip ko parang, grabe isang taon na yun. Parang, ang tagal nang nakalipas, pero parang walang gaanong ganap sa buhay ko, wala akong ginawang gaanong matino. Di ba, di ko alam kung parehas po tayo sa iba. Siguro, kasama sa pagtanda. Ah? Hindi. Susunod na birthday ko, hindi na daw po ako single. Kasal na. Susunod na birthday ko rin. Ay, hindi. 31 pa pala. Nasa kalendaryo pa. Di ba? Pero di ba, may mga, siguro sa pagtanda nga, kasi dati tuwing bata ka, excited ka pa sa birthday mo. Pero habang tumatanda ka, parang dinidread mo siya minsan na, ano bang ginawa ko sa nakalipas na taon? Sa akin, hindi naman nagsasalita on behalf kay Ninong. Baka si Ninong excited din mag-45, di ba? Ito yung thoughts ko. Parang, hindi ko alam kung may parehas sa inyo. Gusto ko mag-start dito. Gusto ko mag-start na, hindi naman during birthdays, pero someone na ako, as a perfectionist, na mataas yung expectations sa sarili, parang I feel like I can do more. Na kung nasan ako, parang hindi pa yun yung gusto kong marating. Hindi ko alam kung may same na thoughts sa inyo. Pero usually, pag ito yung naiisip ko, may kasama siyang regrets. Regrets like, tama ba yung mga decision na ginawa ko sa buhay? Tama ba na ito yung course na kinuha ko? Tama ba na maliban na naglaro lang ako ng video games nung estudyante ako at hindi ako nag-aaral na maayos? Maliban na, ano mo yun, parang maliban na ito yung mga bagay na pinursu ko, ito ba yung mga decision na ginawa ko sa buhay? Usually, kung nasan tayo ngayon, is not to generalize, pero meron mga bagay na how should I say, is a series of choices that we've made kung nasan tayo ngayon. And sometimes, maraming regrets na kasama yun. And now, titignan natin yung sarili natin, parang ang hirap ng magbago. Parang ang hirap ng magbago. 25 ka na, 35 ka na, 45 ka na, Ninong. Ilan taon na ba talaga si pero di ba, parang andun tayo sa position na hindi naman tayo pwedeng mag-aral ulit, for example. Hindi naman tayo pwedeng bumalik and start over. And suddenly, we say, ang complicated. Di ba, parang, paano dumating sa point na to? Ngayon, sa teaching ko na to, gusto kong tignan natin, ano nangyayari tuwing nagiging complicated yung buhay? Parang as we realize na habang tumatanda tayo or habang na-experience natin yung buhay, habang nabubuhay tayo, hindi lang tayo tumatanda, pero meron ding times na meron mga decisions na kailangan tayong gawin. At saka mga decisions na ginawa tayo in the past, na today, leads to this point sa circumstances natin sa buhay. When it gets all complicated, sa kalagitnaan nito, matututunan natin ngayon what it means kapag meron tayong faithful na Diyos sa buhay. So far, in this class, nung sinimulan ni Ninong, nalaman natin yung faithfulness that God, how faithful our God is. He revealed Himself to Hagar, and He said, nalaman natin na through Hagar is a nobody. Ano ba si Hagar, di ba? Katulong lang siya na hindi siya yung tunay na asawa. And walang choice. Ang daming circumstances ni Hagar sa buhay. And sometimes, hindi niya kasalanan kung bakit ganun yung circumstance niya. It can be na pinanganak siya sa ibang nation, 'di ba? Galing siya sa Egypt pa? I forgot, sorry. Pero even then, for someone na katulad ni Hagar, na tingin niya walang nakakakita sa kanya na invisible siya, na nobody siya, God saw her. 'Di ba? And God worked in her life. And last week, natutunan natin yung story of Moses na now, how do we experience God's faithfulness today? Na even from the past, pinoprovide ni Ama yung mana araw-araw. Araw-araw tayong binibigyan ng panibagong buhay ni Ama ngayon. Diba? Na not only in the past to the Israelites, but kahit ngayon sa atin, every morning, nagbibigay ng biyaya si Ama. At ngayon, matututunan natin in the story of David kung paano magtitiwala sa faithfulness ni Ama. So far, siguro karamihan sa atin, alam na yung mga nangyari. Kasi sobrang dami ng pinagdaanan ni David sa Bible pa lang. Yung records ni David, mahirap isa-isahin yung story. So, ililist ko lang dito. Key events, not all, in David's life. Nung bata pa lang si David, naging responsibility niya na, or nag-step up siya na harapin si Goliath at nag-succeed siya. Napatay niya si Goliath. Naging commander siya ni King Saul sa kanyang army. Eventually, naging king of all Israel si David. Siya yung nag-capture sa Jerusalem, and siya yung nag-prepare nung temple na bubuuin ni Solomon once na ipanganak si Solomon. Ngayon, si David, hindi rin siya yung, alam natin na ito yung mga naging accomplishments ni David, pero hindi rin siya yung perfectong tao, na meron din tayong alam na mga struggles ni David, na, nandito, David's lowlights, nilagay ko. Threats with King Saul, hindi siya naging super successful na warrior. Hindi yung buhay niya hindi rin lahat ups. Nagkasala siya kay Bathsheba at pinatay niya si Uriah. At nagkaroon pa ng family conflicts, 'di ba? Kay Absalom. Ngayon, gusto kong i-dive deep yung tatlong story points na to. And how, and I want to demonstrate yung faithfulness ni Ama sa buhay ni David. Starting with the story of King Saul. The story of King Saul and David. Nung bata pa lang si David, before pa siya maging warrior, si David, tumutugtog siya ng harp kay King Saul. And nung bata pa lang siya, inanoint na siya ni Samuel. Si Ama nag-atas kay Samuel na i-anoint si David as king. Bata pa lang si David. Sa lahat ng kapatid ni David, apat sila. Yung tatlong kuya niya, malakas, like, pag nakita mo si David, itabi mo sa mga kuya niya, si David lang yung mukhang hindi warrior. Pero siya yung inatasang king ni Ama. After David defeated Goliath, si David, nakilala siya ng mga tao. And during this time, si King Saul yung hari. Let's dive into 1 Samuel chapter 18. Sorry, English yung yung verse ko. As they were coming home, when David returned from striking down the Philistine, the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, with songs of joy, and with musical instruments. And the women sang to one another, as they celebrated. Saul has struck down his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very angry. And this saying displeased him. He said, "They have ascribed to David 10,000s, to me, and they have ascribed thousands. And what more can he have but the kingdom?" And Saul eyed David from that day on. From this moment, yung inggit ni Saul would continue to consume him. Yung galit niya kay David, galit ni King Saul kay David, would continue on. To the point na tinatangka niya ng patayin si David. Habang tumutugtog si David ng harp, babatayin niya ng spear. And I can't imagine ano yung tension sa room kung nasan si David binato ng spear. And fortunately, nailagan ni David. Even to the point na si King Saul, nag-set pa siya ng mga trap. And pinadala niya pa si David sa mga pinakadelikadong gera, pinakadelikadong battles. Nagpadala pa si King Saul ng tauhan para kay David, doon sa harap ng bahay niya. Pero ang order doon sa mga tauhan na yon, is pag nakita nila si David na lumabas ng bahay, patayin nila. Di ba? Pero this entire time, merong protection si David kay Ama. Lahat ng attempts ni King Saul para patayin si David, hindi nag-work. God had a completely different plan para kay David. And para mamatay si David in the hands of King Saul, that was not allowed. God protected him. Hindi siya mamamatay out of a silly na plano ni King Saul. Dahil merong plano si Ama kay David. Eventually, dahil nga pinagtatangkaan ng buhay ni David, umalis pa siya. Tinakbuhan niya si Saul at nasa wilderness siya. Yung dating known criminal, yung dating known warrior is now a criminal. Gusto siya patayin ni Saul. And meron ding times during this, sa story ni David at Saul, King Saul, pinagsabihan, meron din mga times na may chance patayin ni David si King Saul na sabi pa sa kanya ng tauhan niya, "Ito na yung sign mo, David." Ano yung ang response ni David, "Hindi ko papatayin si King Saul dahil inanoint siya ni Ama as a king." David still respected yung fact na si King Saul was also anointed as king. Ako, nung nabasa ko yung part na to, na hindi niya pinatay si King Saul, kung ako si David, di ba, para mawala na lahat ng problema ko, dahil nga, may nagtatangkang pumatay sa akin, itong tao na yun, kung patayin ko siya doon, ibig sabihin, may eliminate na yung threat. Pero instead, David decided na hindi niya papatayin si King Saul kasi he trusted God's timing. And in this story, we know that God protected David all throughout. Na if God had chosen David to be king, it means David will be king. Na maybe for Saul, parang nung time na na-anoint si David as king, bata pa lang siya. And for Saul, hindi man lang niya siguro in-expect na magiging king si David just because maliit pa siya. Pero di ba, the fact na si David was a small shepherd who just happens to play really good harp. Yung walang naging qualification si David para maging king. Let's just say that. But para kay Ama, si David is a candidate to be a king. So when God appoints David as a king, he meant it. Alam ni Ama yung plano niya kay David. God had a plan for David because he chose him. He anointed David to be king, and God worked through David's life protecting him so that David can be king someday, not die in the hands of Saul. What if I told you na para sa atin, sa buhay natin, si Ama, may plano rin siya sa buhay natin. And wouldn't you think na poprotektahan din ni Ama yung plano niya sa buhay natin para mangyari yun? Diba? Every day, He will work in our lives so that we can get closer to Him. I want to move to the next story of how God can restore you, just as He restored David. In this story, after a while, si King Saul namatay na. And si David yung naging king, nag-replace kay King Saul. Okay? And now, si King David hari na to si David, nagkamali siya, nagkasala siya. Dahil hari na siya, siguro lumaki yung ulo. Isang araw, nakita ni David na may naliligong babae sa baba. Siguro mataas yung castle niya or yung kung saan siya nakatira. Pinatawag niya yung babae dahil nagkagusto siya. Pinatawag niya, itong babae na to ay si Bathsheba. Nagkaroon sila ng affair. Eventually, nabuntis ni David itong tao na to. Si Bathsheba, may asawa siya, si Uriah. So ngayon, si David, nabuntis niya si Bathsheba. Anong ginawa niya? He came up with a plan. Anong ginawa niya? Sabi niya, wala pang DNA test, hindi pa available. So papauwiin ko si Uriah, yung warrior, yung asawa ni Bathsheba, at hopefully, magkasama sila ng isang gabi at mabuntis niya si Bathsheba para mapagkamalan ng mga tao na yung anak sa kanila, hindi sa amin ni Bathsheba. Pero si Uriah, ayaw niyang umuwi kay Bathsheba dahil ayaw niya kasi may giyera. So kailangan, si Uriah sabi niya, nandun dapat ako sa giyera, hindi ko iiwan yung mga kapwa warrior ko. So that failed. And then, David came up with another plan. Sabi niya, hindi ito mangyayari, so papatayin ko na lang si Uriah. Ang ginawa niya, pinadala niya si Uriah sa front lines and namatay doon si Uriah. Just because David wanted to cover up a mistake, yung ginawa niya kay Bathsheba, it eventually became more sin. He decided to murder Uriah. Hindi siya yung pumatay kay Uriah, pero pinapatay niya. He essentially murdered Uriah. Diba? Then, came this man, si Nathan, pumunta siya kay David sa 1 Samuel 12, verse 1. And the Lord sent Nathan to David. He came to him and he said, there were two men in a certain city, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had very many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing but one little lamb which he had bought. And he brought it up and grew it up with him and with his children. It used to eat of its morsel and drink from his cup and lie in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now when there came a traveler to the rich man, and he was unwilling to take one of his own flock or herd to prepare for the guest who had come to him, but he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it for the man who had come to him. Then David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord lives, the man who has done this deserves to die. The man who has took yung tao na kinuha pa yung kaisa-isang pinoprotektahang lamb ng tao na to, itong mayaman na masamang tao, sabi ni David, kailangan mamatay ng tao na to. Alam niyo sabi ni Nathan, David, ikaw yung tao na to. Ikaw yung kumuha sa asawa ni Uriah at pinatay mo pa si Uriah. Diba? Essentially, ganun yung naging prophecy sa kanya ni Nathan. So, anong ginawa ni David? He took advantage of an innocent person, ruined her family, and killed her husband, which is also an innocent person. Ano yung judgment ni, dito sa verse 9, ano yung ginawa ni David? Why have you despised the word of the Lord to do what is evil in his sight? You have struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife, and have killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Grabe. At this point, nag-confess si David. Sabi ni David, I am a sinful person. I have sinned against the Lord. I have sinned against Yahweh. But then, David would come to say that God had put away David's sin, that he would not die. If ikaw, pumatay ka ng tao, makukulong ka. Di ba? As a king. Grabe, yung sin na yon dishonored God. And yung consequence of that sin is namatay yung unang anak niya kay Bathsheba. This time, David had a prayer in Psalms 51, create in me a clean heart, O God. And I will skip this, but yung unang part here, have mercy on me, O God, according to the steadfast love, according to your abundant mercy, blot out my transgressions. Walang ibang makakapagligtas sa ginawa ni David, aside from God. Pero walang pwedeng gawin si David para maligtas siya sa kasalanan niya. It was only God's mercy that decided that David deserved restoration, na mapatawad siya sa kasalanan niya. Lahat ng kasalanan natin, walang kapalit lahat ng kasalanan natin. Wala tayong pwedeng gawin ngayon para mapatawad natin yung sarili natin. Ang nagpapatawad lang sa kasalanan natin ay si Ama. And itong story ni David, hindi to madaling, especially knowing na si David is one of the most respected persons in the Bible. Itong part ng stories niya na to is yung dirty secret niya. And it was exposed to the world. But yung bigger story is that even though David failed, David had committed this heinous crime, God was with David all throughout. He recleaned his heart and restored his soul. And after that, yung covenant na pinangako niya kay David, hindi nabali. Diba? Because God made a covenant. Once God makes a promise, He never breaks it. If you think na sa buhay mo, may mga nagsasabi nito parang malalim na yung kasalanan ko. Ano yun? Malalim na ang hukay. Malalim na ako sa hukay. Parang yung faithfulness ni Ama will redeem you. Yung faithfulness ni Ama, hindi siya nakadepende sa gaano kabuti or gaano kasama yung nagawa mo sa buhay mo. Pero dahil faithful si Ama, siya yun eh. Yun yung identity niya. Yun kung sino si Ama. Lagi siyang faithful. And obviously, if we do bad things, they will have consequences. Huwag kang mag-expect na you can get away from doing bad things. Pero God's mercy is far greater than anything else. Kung kayang i-restore ni Ama si David sa ginawa niya, if ginawa ko yun, baka hindi na ako makatulog. 'Di ba? Pag nakapatay ako ng tao. Pero God can restore David from the sickest things that he's done, and He can restore you too. And this brings me to the next part, which, if you guys didn't know, nagkaroon pa ng, dahil ito yung naging kasalanan ni David, sabi ni Ama sa kanya, yung sword the sword will remain in your house. Ang ibig sabihin nito is, yung sword meant violence. Laging magkakaroon ng violence sa pamilya mo. Yun yung naging consequence ng dugo mo, ng kasalanan mo. Alam niyo nangyari sa family ni David? Yung mga anak niya, nagkaroon pa ng internal conflict. Yung isang anak niya, si Amnon, took advantage of Tamar, yung kapatid niya. And pinatay pa ni Absalom itong si Amnon dahil para sa revenge. 'Di ba? Sa isang pamilya nagpapatayan, grabe. And even Absalom, binetray niya pa si David. In-overthrow niya yung pagkahari ni David. Nagkaroon pa siya ng rebellion. And eventually, kahit nanalo si David, through this rebellion, namatay pa yung anak niya. Pinatay nung army ni David si Absalom during the battle. Grabe, di ba? If ikaw, may pamilya ka, how will it feel for you? Kahit nga hindi pa magkasundo yung mga anak mo, siguro ang hirap, ang bigat na sa pakiramdam. How would you feel if this entire lifetime, growing up, makikita mo yung mga anak mo, never nagkasundo, meron pang history na nagpatayan. Diba? How does it feel for your own child to betray you? How does it feel na 60 years old ka na, umaalis ka pa rin sa bahay mo dahil pinagtatangkaan kang patayin? Eto, hindi na si King Saul yung papatay, may threat na ng anak mo, si Absalom. How does it feel to lose a child? Because of lahat ng naging conflict sa pamilya mo, di ba? Lahat ng to nangyari sa buhay ni David. But God was with him through it all. God protected David from King Saul from the threat of dying because he had a plan for David. And kahit na nagkasala si David, God restored him. God forgave David. And kahit ganito yung sitwasyon ng pamilya ni David, God was there to sustain him. And maybe, sa atin ngayon, parang meron tayong mga sitwasyon sa buhay na parang hindi na siya matatapos. Parang ando na tayo eh. Ito na yung kinahantungan ng lahat ng desisyon ko sa buhay. Maybe there are people in your life, it can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be someone na nakatali na sa'yo just because, alam mo yun, kilala ka or ikaw na lang yung tao malalapitan ng taong to. They make destructive choices. Di ba parang addiction, for example. Yung problema ng tao, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever kind of addiction, hindi lang yan sa tao na yan eh. Pati yung taong malapit dito sa taong to, yung pamilya niya, affected. Diba? Maybe these are people na hindi ka, na sinasaktan ka. Maybe you have a King Saul in your life na palaging tinithreaten yung safety mo. Mind you, isang beses lang nabuhay si David sa buhay na to. Like, parehas lang siya sa atin. 60 years old, 70 years old yata siya nabuhay. Pero through his life, parang na-experience niya siguro yung the worst of worst na pagdadaanan ng isang tao. But ano yung na-achieve ni David, di ba? On top of this, ano yung achievements ni David? Even sa linya ni David came Jesus Christ. 'Di ba? That never, parang ang hirap isipin na yung taong to na pumatay nag-murder, doon pa galing si Jesus Christ. 'Di ba? Ano na lang yung iisipin. But God is radical. When God makes a promise, He keeps it forever. And even though si David committed these crimes, God still worked through his life. In 2 Samuel chapter 7, let's read. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your fathers, I will raise up your offspring after you, who shall come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me as a son. When he commits iniquity, I will discipline him with the rod of men, with the stripes of the sons of men. But my steadfast love will not depart from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away from before you. And your house and your kingdom shall be made sure forever before me. Your throne shall be established forever. This is the part where God establishes a covenant with David. That God was so faithful to David that generations later, Jesus would be born from his legacy, from his lineage. That's recorded in Matthew. Makikita natin sa buhay ni David na kahit si David hindi naging perpekto. Si David, unang-una, sino ba siya? He was a nobody. He was just a shepherd. Comparing him among his brothers now built as warriors, he was this small little shepherd that can probably not amount to being a warrior katulad ng mga kapatid niya. And also, David was a sinner. Di ba? And David had went through so much consequences to the point na hindi ko na alam yung state of mind ni David. But God kept his promise. And he established a covenant with David that the throne will be eternal. And his kingdom is God's kingdom. It will never end. And that through Jesus and through our faith, makikita natin yung relationship natin tayo, direct descendant din tayo ni David at Jesus Christ. Naalala niyo nung tinanong ko, kung nagkakaroon ba kayo ng thoughts na because of your choices, ito na yung circumstance natin sa buhay. That doesn't matter. Walang pakialam si Ama kung nasan ka sa buhay mo ngayon or gaano kalayo yung narating mo. What matters is that God Himself is faithful and God keeps His promises. Ito yung hope natin today. Kahit na iba-iba tayo ng pinagdadaanan sa buhay. Pero if all else fails, I can guarantee you na if we remember God's sovereign plan, His promise, yung kingdom, it has been set in motion. Inihintay na lang natin mangyari at bumalik si Jesus Christ. Kahit na ano yung pagdadaanan natin sa mundong to, there will be suffering, obviously. Pero God has already been victorious through Jesus Christ. And we just have to remember na parte tayo nung victory na yun if we believe. I want to reflect us with this question. I want us to reflect with this question. Paano tayo magtitiwala kay Ama na faithful? Si Ama, yung faithful sa buhay natin. Diba? Meron akong verse dito sa 2 Samuel chapter 23, verse 5. Ito yung isa sa mga last words ni David. After mabuhay ni David for so long, he reflects, he looks back in his life and says, "For does not my house stand so with God? For He has made me with an everlasting covenant, ordered all things and secure. For He will not cause to prosper all my help and my desire." Sabi ni David, masisira pa ba yung family ko? Ngayong nandito si Ama ngayon si Ama yung nag-hold nito together. na hindi siya yung nagbuo ng nag-nurture ng family na to, kundi si Ama. Alam niya yung promises ni Ama na permanent, it will never change. And so David proclaims, yung everlasting covenant na to are secure. Everything's been made in order. David proclaims that God has set all His plans forever. This is forever. Diba? By this time, since patanda na si David, nakita niya yung lahat ng faithfulness na ginawa sa kanya ni Ama. Lahat ng, for He will not cause to prosper all my help and my desire. All my help is the people in David's life and his desires. Wala nang ibang desire si David at this point kung di iserve si Ama. Di ba parang, if you grow up na ganun, na grabe yung pinagdaanan, I think ito yung isa sa mga importance of faith, and it grows us. As we experience life more and more, we start to see how faithful our God is sa buhay natin. Katulad ni David na matanda na, and yung final words niya, ito, pinroclaim niya si Ama, how faithful God is in his life. Ako, kung mamamatay ako, and wag naman sana, wag pa, malayo pa ako sa 70 years old ni David. Pero 'di ba, ang ganda na ito yung final words mo, that you proclaim how faithful God was in your life. God is in your life. 'Di ba? And sometimes life can feel complicated. It can get out of control. And in those moments, nakakalimutan natin na meron tayong faithful na Diyos na nakasuporta sa atin. And ano yung nangyayari? Tayo mismo yung nagtatry mag-take control sa buhay natin. But that doesn't work out really well. Yung story ni David, and I hope na-demonstrate ko, even through his struggles, even through may threats of death siya kay King Saul, even through nagkasala siya ng grabe kay Bathsheba at pumatay siya ng tao. And even through all the circumstances na meron siya after his sin, God was faithful all throughout. The story of David reminds us that there is a God who never changes, a God who protects us, restores us, sustains us, and works in every part of our lives. Kahit na hindi natin nakikita yung full picture. Kasi minsan, di ba, pag sobrang dami na natin problema, ang hirap nang makakita ng solusyon. Pero always know that there is always a God na hindi nagbabago sa buhay mo. Lagi siyang faithful. He's always there to support you, to protect you, to restore you, and sustain you in your life. These are not one aspect in your life, but throughout all. Like kahit na mayabang ka, kahit na nanlulumo ka, at kahit na may pinagdadaanan ka, andun si Ama. Faithful. He never changes. And I remind everyone to trust God more. How can you trust God more? Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for your faithfulness sa lahat ng aspect ng buhay namin, Ama, na kung minsan hindi na namin alam yung gagawin, sobrang complicated na punong-puno man kami ng mga regrets sa buhay, hindi na namin alam yung gagawin. God, in these times, please remind us of how your love and your promises are greater than our circumstances and our mistakes that we've done and our decisions that we've made in our lives. Tulungan niyo po kami na magtiwala palagi sa inyo, even if it's hard to see, and especially when it's hard to see. Please protect us, forgive us, and sustain us, katulad ng ginawa mo kay David. Help us see your work in our lives every day. And Father, remind us of your faithfulness so that we can remind ourselves of your promise that are never broken. Ama, salamat po sa buhay kung saan lagi namin kayong kasama. At kung may pinagdadaanan man po kami, especially sa mga may sakit sa amin at hihingi po ng healing, alam po na nakasama namin kayo sa buhay namin. Kahit ano pang dadaanan namin, ay nakasupport po kayo, and that gives us comfort. Help us remind ourselves to trust you even more every day. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.